very passionate about work-life balance, and I'm gonna sum it up in one quote that a very special person, not my current, a very special person said to me. The company that you work for was there before you started, and they're gonna be there once you're gone as well. So your time that you spend at work cannot be 24 hours. The company will still remain once you're gone as well. So you've got to be able to switch off at the end of the day and have your personal time. Although I'm not married, I'm very much a family person. So I need to be able to make time for my mom, my sisters, my nieces as well. Money does not make me happy, and I don't think it should actually make anybody happy. So for me, you've got to be able to understand that the company that you work for was there before you came around, and it will always be there. My name is Xoliswa Nxumalo. I'm originally from Durban. I don't have a nickname, thank God. Grew up in Durban, born and raised, and I'm still in Durban. I'm an account executive, but my identity as a person, I'm a child of God, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister. I'm very much a family-orientated person. So that to me comes before my professional career as an account executive. I went to an all-girls school. That was a decision from my parents, not a personal decision. So I'm not for or against which high school you actually go to. My high school life was fairly good. Had a good education. I was very much involved in sports. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I knew the one thing that I've always known was I always wanted to make a difference in people's lives. Exactly which road I wanted to take, I really wasn't sure of. So I was very much involved in sports. I concentrated more on that. I can even tell you that even my subject choices weren't in line with exactly what I wanted to do because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I remember in grade 10 when we went through career guidance and stuff, I was just told just take a variety of subjects so that when you finally decide what you want to do in matric, you've got things that you can play around with and put together. So that's what I did. I did science, I did bio, but then I also did art, and I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. So when I finished school, I thought I'm gonna go overseas because I really didn't know what I wanted to do, and I didn't want to waste time in varsity without any sense of direction. So I decided to take a break after high school just to grow a bit and meet different people, explore different things, and see what life has to offer. I think that came with, we had a lot of exchange students at school that came through from different countries. So that intrigued me a lot. I started hearing about different things that happen in different countries, the opportunities that are there available for them in their countries as well. So I was very much intrigued in learning about what happens in other countries, and that was part of my decision of actually going abroad after high school. So my high school didn't really determine where I am now. It just gave me an open mind as to where I actually wanted to go. So I'm not, unfortunately, one of those people who was very focused and decided in high school on exactly what I wanted to do. And thank God that my parents were very open to adventure and doing different things. So being the eldest as well at home, I didn't have any pressure or anybody to follow in the footsteps of. I am the eldest of three girls. So I think I was the first experience and project that my parents had. So they're like, let's see how it turns out with this one, and thank God it actually worked out. So yeah. I obviously got asked by my parents, where you going next year, what you doing and stuff, and I told my mom I don't really know what I want to do, but I've heard about this thing called au pairing and it seems interesting. And thank God my mother did not say no. So she said to me, you know what, just so long as it's legit. My mom was a cop by profession, so she obviously checked out on it and investigated just to make sure it is a legit thing, and I'm not just going overseas and I'm going to be kidnapped or become some, I don't know, prostitute or something. So I registered with a company to become an au pair in America. You had to do your first aid, you had to do like a 2 months childcare course, and then they placed you with a family. The reason why I decided to do au pairing was because, one, I did want to travel. That to me just seemed like a very exciting thing to do, and that was obviously influenced by the exchange students that I met in high school. So I registered with the agency and they told me the whole process about au pairing. So basically au pairing is they place you with a family in whichever country that you'd actually like to go to, and you look after their kids. I'm not sure how it happens now, but back then you also had to do some sort of course while you were in whichever country that you were in. But it was basically more of a cultural exchange thing, and for young people to obviously go and experience a different type of lifestyle from the different countries. The one important thing for me was to obviously be placed with a Christian family, because you know it was very important to me as well. And my life basically changed then. I was placed with a family in Texas. They had 3 kids. The mother was a housewife, but she homeschooled her kids, and this is where my life literally changed. By profession, she was a CA, and she gave her profession to raise her family. And that's where, and I'll chat to you about that later, I realized the balance of careers and being happy and balancing family life as well. So I lived with a family in Texas, and during that time, I did a course at one of the universities about family. They actually have a course in America that's actually called Family Life, and they actually teach you about having a balance as a career person, and actually having a family life as well, which they believed very much. It was a Christian institution, but it's in one of the varsities that it's very important in this generation, in this day and age, for people to have a balance in their lives, because people are just chasing money, and they're actually not content and happy. So I had an amazing time in America, traveled a lot, went to probably about 7 different states, but I also learned the importance of saving. My parents obviously took my tertiary education money and invested it in my time abroad. So it was important for me to obviously save for when I come back to South Africa, because I then needed to be independent and do my own thing. When it was time for me to come back, I hadn't had enough of traveling, so I decided to do a second year, and this time around I went to Europe. Didn't enjoy Europe as much as I enjoyed America. I think it was just a cultural difference. The Europeans are very different from the Americans, but I obviously I got to experience it, and I knew exactly what I wanted to do. But in my 2 years of au pairing, I learned what a lot of people and a lot of young people fail at, especially as they start making money, is savings. I could have literally spent all my money when I was overseas, but I told myself and I realized that I needed to come back and actually make something of myself and actually put myself now through school, because I had taken my savings for my tertiary education, and I then now needed to obviously come back and put myself through school. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. I matured a lot in those 2 years, and I came back and I knew that now I need to come back and settle down and actually plan a career for myself. I came back to South Africa after my 2 years of my gap year. I had eventually decided that I wanted to go into marketing, become marketing. Not because I wanted to go into the marketing sector itself, but I knew I wanted to working with people. I got a job at a call center in one of the financial institutions, and I registered at UNISA to do a BCom in marketing. The pre-qualifications for that was basically just to have maths, and accounting was an advantage, which I did have as well. So it wasn't a prerequisite, but it was just maths higher grade that I needed to have. So I did that part-time. I registered at UNISA part-time. I started off with just taking 3 modules because I didn't know how it was going to work out. My first professional job as well, and obviously studying at the same time. I did not attend any evening classes, so basically it was just I've got the books and I would go to work during the day and come back in the evenings and teach myself. I honestly did not have a problem with it. I think I had my fun time when I was traveling abroad, so having to have that discipline of working during the day and then come back in the evening and do schoolwork and do assignments and stuff like that really was not a problem with me. So basically in my degree first year is basically just all your generals, your public relations, you do your finance. I went into public relations, which I did from year 1 up until year 3. Public relations also includes communication in it. It also includes the writing and contents of it, which is basically the biggest parts of your course. And then I also did the financial accounting of it because I started off in the banking sector. So I obviously did the financial accounting, which is not very easy and I hate it. I just made it through that. So that I did financial accounting in 1 and 2 as well. And then economics as well is also part of your costing in it as well. First job was obviously in a call center, just dealing with people over the phone. I did that for a year with Nedbank. And during my position at the call center, I actually realized that's when I found out about account executives, because what we had different companies, corporate companies that would have a dedicated account executive that will be based at the call center as well. So I actually thought, hold on, that's something that I actually would like to do. So I started what they had at the call centers as well. They had what they called, not really mentorship programs, but because at the call center was a whole lot of young people that just came out of high school. So they also had different companies come into the call centers as well and actually just tell us what the different companies do. So I got hold of this one lady who was an account executive for a marketing company, and I actually spent some time with her as well, and she explained exactly what they do as an account executive, looking after different corporate companies. And I thought that's something that I'll actually like to do, especially because it involved traveling. So from my traveling times overseas, I thought, I don't think I could be a person that spends 8 to 5 behind the desk every day. And so when I learned about an account executive position where you're on the road a lot of the time and you deal with different people in different companies, I thought this is exactly what I want to do. And then I went through to work for McCarthy in Durban as well as a client liaison officer. An account executive, one of the major things that you deal with is problem solving. As an account executive, my current job as an account executive is you are the go-to person for all different departments, and you've also got to be a problem solver. So I worked for McCarthy for 4 years as a client liaison officer. So basically the frustration that a lot of corporate companies normally have is when they have to deal with 4 or 5 different people in the company. So they've got to deal with the lady from finance, they've got to deal with sales, they have to deal with the marketing department and operations and stuff. So what companies have now done is they've taken all the different departments and they have one representative, especially for corporate clients. So you've got to be a problem solver in that aspect, because you now have to represent the company in all different aspects as well. So that's the major skill that you have to have as an account executive, and that I learned from my position as a client liaison officer at McCarthy, which I did for 4 years. From there, I moved up to Johannesburg to work for Bidvest Bank, and that was where I started my career as an account executive. So you get allocated between 10 and 20, depending on how big the company is, between 10 and 20 corporate clients that you actually look after. So it's basically a retention. As an account executive, there's 2 aspects of it, where there's the sales team that obviously bring in clients for the company, and then you have the account executives, which is more the retention side. And I'm more on the customer retention side of the business. So I was with Bidvest for 4 years. And then from there, don't laugh, I then moved to Westbank, and as a senior account executive there. The reason for the move, it was just basically more money. That's what happens when you're in Joburg. But it was obviously a bigger group, and I was exposed to more corporate clients, and I'm still with Westbank now as a senior account executive looking after the whole of KZN. So I'm currently employed as an account executive at Westbank in Durban, and I look after KZN region. So basically a typical day of an account executive is you obviously represent the company. You are the point of contact for different corporate clients that you have. So your day could be split between client meetings with the different clients that you obviously look after. So there's a lot of traveling, obviously traveling to the client's premises instead of the clients coming through to you. There's the financial portion of it where you're obviously discussing the client's financials and getting credit facilities in place. There's ensuring that the client's account is handled correctly, from the maintenance department to the call center that we have, to ensuring that the vehicles are running correctly, they're being used correctly. You basically just take the stress and the pressure away from the client, and you actually make sure that their business runs correctly. You get a client that's in building houses. Their core business is not looking after vehicles and making sure that they have the right vehicles, that their fuel cards are working. They are in the business of getting builders out to different projects and premises to make sure they build developments. You need to ensure that you equip them with the right motor vehicles and the right tools for them to carry on with their business. So it's your responsibility to make sure that that portion is actually handled and runs smoothly for them. The challenges is obviously just the hours that you spend on the road, dealing with different types of people. As an account executive, you've got to be able to realize that the client's frustration is not necessarily directed at you. It's what's happening on the background that they might not be happy with. And you've got to be a problem solver. You've got to be able to take a problem and basically come back with a solution to a client. It's not always, people always say the customer is always right and customers are always demanding and they're always wanting. They just basically want things to work. And you just have to be that person that makes things work for a customer. And so you're basically dealing from like financial directors to the operations team to their drivers and stuff. So you've got to take all of their operations together and give them an end product that's actually going to work for them. There's a lot of working late because you're traveling a lot during the day. So there's the admin side as well that you have to do of compiling reports for a client and ensuring that the facilities are in place as well. So you do end up sometimes having to work late after hours when you are obviously back in the office or at home and stuff. But it's exciting, it's fun, it's lovely to deal with different people. This is going to sound very strange, but in my years, it's now just over 10 years that I've been an account executive. One of the main things that I've learned is us as Black people, if I may say that, are not exposed to the different opportunities that are available for small businesses. There's a lot of new small businesses coming up, which I've had the privilege of working with. And what we often do is we want to make everything work in-house, where these certain services are available through the bigger corporates and companies. So what I would actually like to do is be an account executive, but be more involved in the upcoming SME companies. The reason for that is you get a guy who's who's like an entrepreneur, and he's very business minded and basically just wants to go there and make business. But the very same guy wants to come in and run the operations of the business as well, and it doesn't work. We call it in our sector, you have the farmer, you have the hunter and you have a farmer. The person who's bringing in the business is not necessarily the person who's going to be making sure that the everyday runnings of the business is running smoothly. It's not a dual thing. So what I would like to do, and where I see myself in the next 5 years or even longer, is being the person who runs the operations for a company. So you have a guy who's like a one-man business in his company, but instead of him trying to make the deals happen and also make sure that the services are running smoothly, be that person who's actually going to manage the accounts for him, and actually educate people that, you know what, you can go and make the deals happen, but then outsource the daily runnings of the business to companies who are experts in that. You know, you can be an expert in finance, but you're not necessarily an expert in making sure that the financial product that you're actually providing to different individuals, the daily running and operations of that is actually running smoothly. So you need that person to actually do that. So I want to be that person who empowers person to say, listen, the tools are there for you to outsource these things and to have other people run the operations for you. So you can actually have a balanced life, because that's what account executives and other companies are there, is to provide you with the services so that you can actually have a balanced life and succeed in what you're doing.